Today, I finally have the opportunity of talking about this PC. You know, it's kind of a rare opportunity because I've always wanted to talk about this HP EliteDesk 800 G5 desktop mini. You know, I've actually covered the HP EliteDesk 800 G4 on this channel not once, not twice. But this G5, this particular one right here, for one reason or the other, I haven't been able to talk about this. But today, given that I have this PC on my hand, I said to myself, I'm going to go ahead, make some few comments about this PC because I understand that there are a lot of you out there looking for something decent, and sometimes it could be very, very tricky. I know this because I sell used PCs, and I understand when it comes to making that decision to buy a new PC. See, if you are not ready, you might be thinking, I think I really want a Lenovo ThinkCentre, I want a Dell, mini, I want a HP mini. But the moment you sit in front of your computer and you want to click on that button to actually, make the decision to commit to one, it becomes a little bit tricky. You do not know which one to go for. And this is one reason I keep talking about these PCs, showing you, different circumstances in which this PC have been used, and just trying to point out one or two things. Perhaps it might help you to make, a purchasing decision. This is the HP EliteDesk 800 G5 desktop mini. Like I said, it's one decent PC. It's not entirely different from the, the HP EliteDesk 800 G4. I have it right there, so don't be surprised if I'm looking at the PC. But this time around, for one reason or the other, HP decided to, include an air vent on the top of the PC like this. You do not have it on the previous models, but this is not a major difference. We're going to be taking a look at this PC. I'm going to open it up, take a look at what you expect to get if you decide to buy something like this. Taking a look right at the back of the PC, what I can easily see is that I've got USB, 3.0 port, I've got a HDMI port right there, and I've got two display ports right here. Entirely the same configuration you also have on the HP EliteDesk 800 G4 mini PC, but the one I have right here has a display port. I kind of feel like this is an optional feature. You might decide to get this with a HDMI port or an additional display port. In this way, you have three display ports altogether, exactly the way it is on the 800 G4 I have right there. But right here, you've got two display ports and one HDMI port. If you ask me, I would think that this might be the best combination because there are still a lot of people that still have PCs with a HDMI port. As a matter of fact, somebody did write me yesterday asking to know if the PC that he wanted to buy from my shop, the Hardwaremoney shop, had a HDMI port because his monitor in this case had a HDMI port. So I just told him, don't worry, there's a particular cable I could send to you, which is a HDMI to DisplayPort cable. With that, you shouldn't have a problem of, how do you connect your PC. But then if you have a PC that gives you all the options, all the ports, this, I believe, is just the best way to go. So personally, I kind of like this combination where you have two display ports as well as one HDMI port, and right here you have the LAN port. So nothing out of the ordinary right here. It's kind of typical with what you have on, the HP EliteDesk series. But one thing I must not fail to mention is that right here on this PC, you have a wireless LAN, adapter already installed on this PC. This is a major difference because if you are thinking of getting a mini PC like this, and you don't want to be facing the hassles of having to, get an additional wireless LAN card or some stick to connect to your internet, or even getting a LAN cable, this PC already has you covered. All you have to do is just to go ahead, plug in the PC, and without having to, struggle with anything like a wireless LAN card or a stick, you can immediately get connected to the internet because, guys, we are living in the age of convenience. Yeah, people just want convenience. They want comfort. Nobody wants to have, a PC like this, and while having the PC, you still have to think of how do you connect to the internet. You still have to worry about you not being able to connect to your monitor. People just want convenience, and this is one thing I pretty much call convenience here. The fact that you do not have to worry if you will be needing an additional cable or an adapter to connect to the internet. This I pretty much call comfort. If you come to the front of the PC, we also have the same thing, just like you have it in the HP EliteDesk 800 G4. We've got two USB ports right there, and we've got a USB-C port exactly the way it is right there, and we've got the headphone jack as well as the microphone jack. So nothing really different, and in terms of size, they are just exactly the same size. I'm going to go ahead and open the PC because it makes no sense to talk about this PC without actually taking a look at the inside. And to do that, I have the option of using my screwdriver to just open it, but then most times it's not really so tight that you can actually use your hand to just turn it off. And when you do that, you have to take up the top cover just like that. If you take a look at it, that is the vent right there. You can pretty much see it. And once in a while, if you ever have this kind of PC, one thing I can actually advise that you do, once in a while, try to see how you can, blow out these vents, because they could just be a very good place for dust to gather. I have already dusted this one, so you do not really see anything. But when I was cleaning this, there was a lot of stuff, right there. So this is exactly what you expect to get if you receive a PC like this. Some of the HP EliteDesk 800 G5 would actually come with a, HDD card right here. But on this particular one, it's not included. But then, depending on what you are buying, one thing you want to do is to make sure that you ask the seller if the particular variant you are buying actually comes with a HDD, card right there. Because with the 2.5-inch HDD card, you can actually go ahead and install an additional, SATA drive right here. It could be a HDD, or it could even be an SSD. So, but this particular one doesn't have it. It doesn't actually spoil everything, because beautiful thing is that we still have a possibility for you to install an NVMe SSD right here. On this particular one, I think we've got a 256 gigabytes of NVMe SSD, sitting right there. And this right here is the wireless LAN adapter, sitting right there. I'm going to go ahead and lift up the processor fan to give you an impression how the RAM slot actually is. Right here, we've got an 8 gigabyte of DDR4 RAM right here. Like I said, it could be kind of dusty sometimes. I'm still going to go ahead and clean this to be sure that everything is looking super clean right there. We've got 2 RAM slots on which you can actually go ahead and populate your DDR4 RAM. But then if you take a look at the design, it is entirely the same like what you will get on the HP EliteDesk 800 G4 mini PC. So there's absolutely nothing I will take a look here and say, oh, this is one very great feature that it's missing in the 800 G4. Everything pretty much looks the same. I'm going to make sure I throw a picture of the 800 G4 while I'm actually editing this video. You might be wondering now, Hardware Flipper, why are you actually talking about this PC right here? You see, guys, I want you guys to get the best. All right, I know we are in a day and age where it's kind of difficult to actually make money these days, and because of that, people are just so conscious of what they buy. And whenever they have to spend money in the range of $200 $300, they want to be sure that they're actually settling for the best. And it's kind of very unfair if somebody goes to the marketplace to buy something in the name of a mini PC, and somebody somewhere sells you something that won't be able to hold up to your expectation, something that will be so loud when it's being used, something that will not be rugged enough to meet your home office tasks, to meet your, I don't know, your schooling task and all that. You might be sold something that's so fragile, something that falls down, and that is the end of the story. But this PC right here, I can pretty much tell you, mere holding it with my hands, I can tell you that this PC has been made with very premium materials. This is not something that was just going to fall down and shatter because the material has been made with plastic. This has been made with very premium materials, and if on the rare occasion that this has to fall down, man, you do not really have to worry, because I want to imagine that all you have to do is to pick it up, clean it up, and just plug it on and continue to use it. This is something I can tell you for free is solid. I'm not just talking something I'm looking at on the picture. I actually have it on my hands, and I can see the build. I mean, the HP EliteDesk series is not something that we should sit here and begin to talk much about, because these series have been proven. They have been proven to last. They have been tested and tried in different situations, and the verdict is pretty much the same. These are decent PCs. Of course, this may be a little bit more expensive, because on this one right here, we have an Intel 9th Gen Core i5 processor. Yes, if you go to the market, you're going to be seeing different stuffs, different processor types, different configurations of RAMs and SSDs. Depending on your budget, you can actually go ahead and settle for something that will ultimately meet your need. If you go to the Hardwaremoney shop, the beautiful thing there is that we actually have the possibility for you to go ahead and configure this PC the way you want it. If you are saying to yourself, I do not think I need a PC that has a 256 gigabytes of NVMe SSD. I need something bigger because I pretty much want to download a lot of files. I tend to store a lot of pictures on my PC. Then you have the possibility to actually buy this PC, with a 1 terabyte of NVMe SSD, or even a 512 gigabyte of NVMe SSD. But then if you are also saying to yourself, I do not think 16 gigabytes of RAM is something I want to have on my PC in 2025. This was something I had in 2015. I really need something, you know, bigger, then what you want to do is to go to the Hardwaremoney shop, ensure that you buy this PC by selecting the RAM size that meets your needs. You see, gone are the days where you are just tied to one option. All right, this is one thing I also see on some of the marketplaces. You go there, you want to buy something, you are literally tied to one option, and you are telling yourself, how do I spend as much as $300 on a PC and I do not have the possibility, you know, to configure the SSD or the RAM according to my taste? But then this bottleneck has been pretty much destroyed on the Hardwaremoney shop. This problem doesn't seem to arise anymore. Go there, pick the PC of your choice and configure it the way you want it, and this PC definitely would be delivered to you. So if you are at the crossroad right now, you are not so sure, but one thing you have right now is that you are thinking about the HP EliteDesk 800 G5 desktop mini. You're taking a look at it and you are thinking to yourself, I want to imagine that this might be a good PC, but something is still telling you, I do not really know if this PC is going to hold up. I want to tell you, I have used this PC personally. I find no fault in this PC. It's quiet, it's gotten all the ports that you need, and the fact that you can actually go ahead and slap in a SATA SSD, an NVMe SSD, as well as upgrade the RAM, I want to tell you that this is a decent PC. If you find it for cheap, then go ahead and buy. But if you are saying to yourself, I don't just want to find this PC for cheap, I also want to be sure that I can buy this PC that will come in a very, very good condition, exactly the way this one is, that even though it's used, doesn't really have any major sign of use, this can literally pass out for new, then I want to encourage you to go to the Hardwaremoney shop, click on the link in the description below, then you will have the opportunity of getting something like this. Until I see you again in the next video, peace out.